How you doing? I'm DJ Nino Brown, and we're going to give you a little bit of an insight about what DJs do, about records, mixing, scratching, and all that good stuff. So make sure you stick around. One thing a lot of people ask me is how DJs get their names out there and how they become known. So many different ways. You can be a battle DJ, a club DJ, you can be on the radio, you can be making mixtapes, or like many DJs, you can be smashing everything that you put your hands to. I basically have come up through the battle scene. I've been the DMC finalist a couple of years. I did clubs, I did a lot of parties, I got on the radio, and through being around over the years, people start to get to know who you are, you build a fan base, and things grow from there. Now, you might ask, what is a mixtape? A mixtape basically can be simple as a collection of all your favorite records that you put together as a blend tape, and you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. You pass that out to your friends, and sometimes things can grow and get to the stage where it's a big official album, such as Blazing. So we're going to explain to you a little bit about mixing, scratching, and how all these things come together, just to give you an idea how all this works. This is the equipment you're going to be working with if you're going to be spinning records. It's good to understand the reason why things are set up the way they are. A lot of people always ask me, how come hip-hop DJs or scratch DJs have the turntables turned around? The main reason for that is when you're scratching and mixing, when you turn the turntables around, the needles and the tone arms don't get in your way. So when you're moving your hands and doing tricks and whatnot and using the faders in a very fast fashion and not necessarily watching what you're doing all the time, it stops you from banging the needle off the record, which is going to cause you to scratch and wreck your record. So that's the reason why we have the turntables set up sideways. Underneath the records we have what's called a slip mat, and a lot of DJs like to put down a piece of plastic like this. The reason we do this is when the record is spinning, you can slide the record back while the platter still spins, so it keeps everything nice and smooth, and when the needle's on the record you can wind it back, go forward, and the platter spins without any kind of hindrance, and you're really good to go to get all the fun stuff happening. The next and perhaps the most important part of your setup is the DJ mixer. There's so many different kinds of DJ mixers out there, and you really need to find a mixer that suits your purpose and what you're into. For me, being a hip-hop DJ, I like to have a 2-channel mixer, and the beauty of that is it keeps it nice and simple. I've got my left turntable on the left fader, I've got my right turntable on the right fader. The way the DJ mixer works is it controls the sound. So when I put the left fader up, it puts the volume of the left turntable up, and so forth. And the crossfader allows me to cut between the two turntables. And when it comes to scratching, using the crossfader and the up and down faders is how you manipulate the sounds to get the desired scratch. We're going to get into that a bit later on. When you're looking at a DJ mixer, another thing to consider is what you pay for is what you get. So if you get something cheap and nasty, it's not going to last you a long time, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of cutting and scratching. I've used and abused and taken apart and destroyed all kinds of mixers over the years, but the one that I really like, that I've never had any problems with, is the Rain mixer. I love this mixer for 3 main reasons. 1, it's never broken down on me. 2, the faders are really sharp, and when I do a lot of scratching and tricks, I can make it sound awesome just because everything cuts on and off exactly how I want it to. It's got a lot of different dials and settings, you can set it up how you like. The third reason is I love the Q fader. So when I'm mixing and cutting in between records, if I've got this one playing, I can just slap the Q fader across, get this next one ready, move across, hit it back, and go to the next one. It's very simple, it's laid out in a really nice fashion, doesn't break down, and the faders are great. Another important element of your DJ setup are the needles. There's many different types of styluses. I prefer to use Autofon. The main reason I like to use this particular brand of needle is it doesn't jump, which is really important when you're playing a party. Also, the sound quality is really good. There's a few different options when it comes to needles. This is the Autofon GT. I use this one at home because it's got a really nice balance of sound and it doesn't skip. When I'm DJing at a club, I use this one. This is Autofon needle. It's got a 1/2-inch mount, and that goes on the record player. The reason why I like this one when I'm DJing out at a club is because I find this one skips the least out of the range, which is what I want when I'm in the middle of a live performance. Another needle that they have, which I like using, is called a Concord. This one's really good because it's just one piece. I use this a lot when I'm playing out at clubs as well, because if I have a problem, I can just pop the needle off, get a new one, stick it straight on, and I'm back in business. But your needles are definitely a really important part of your setup, and the trick is to have the needle set up in a fashion where when it's riding on the turntable, the bottom part of the needle is horizontal to the record being played. So if you're using this one, you'd have it so the horizontal part is running horizontal to the record. You get that happening, you're going to be straight, you're going to be able to rock the party, not have the record jump, and you'll be in good shape. When you're DJing, these are your best friends, your headphones. you need to get some headphones that, one, you find are comfortable, and two, whatever works for you. There's so many different kinds of headphones. Every brand you know makes headphones, and a lot of them are really good. So what it comes down to is what's functional and what you prefer. For me personally, I like these Technics headphones, and the main reason being, don't laugh, is it's just got a very basic, long, a very strong cord, which means I can walk away from the DJ setup when I'm going through my gear or my records. And also I like the fact that the cord only comes out of one side rather than both sides. It doesn't get tangled. A lot of people say, what is the DJ doing when he has his headphones on? And you see them doing all this kind of stuff. Well, basically, if I've got a song playing on this record player, I'm queuing up the next song on this side. And what that means by queuing is I'm actually getting this song ready to the place where I want to have it, so I can let it go and do the mix in the right spot. The way I do that is I have my headphones on. I usually have one earpiece on my ear. I leave my other ear free to hear the sound that's being played, and using the cue controller on the DJ mixer, I can pick which turntable I'm listening to. So while one is playing, I'm queuing up the other one, getting ready to drop that track. So your headphones are an important part of your setup. Get something that suits you, and you'll be on your way. One of the most exciting things that's happened technology-wise for DJs in the last couple of years is Serato Scratch. Now what this does is it allows me to DJ using a laptop, and I can use MP3s, and I control my MP3s with these two digital records. And what the beauty of this is, I'm still DJing and still doing everything I do artistically as a DJ. It just saves me carrying around boxes and boxes of records. It's great. All I have to do is carry this laptop and this interface. And the way Serato Scratch works is you unplug your turntables from the DJ mixer into the interface, and then you go from the interface back into the DJ mixer, and it connects into your laptop via this USB cable. It's a great system. It saves me so much backache. And also the exciting part of it is when new music comes out, a lot of record companies and people are promoting their music by sending DJs MP3s. So it's a way to stay in touch, get the latest music, and you can spin it straight away. And if you're into remixing and that kind of stuff, you can do your own remix, and you can play that out when you're DJing. While you're DJing, it's exactly the same. You can do everything that you can do with regular records, but the beauty of it is it saves you carrying records. I love it, and as a DJ that travels a lot, it's become a huge part of my life. So the program Serato Scratch reads your iTunes library, so whatever playlists you have in your iTunes library are going to appear in your Serato library. You allocate the song you want to play to the turntable. Then when you jump on the turntable, you can control the MP3 using the special Serato record. Really easy. And you're in business. It's great, saves you carrying those records. This is what DJs are using nowadays. Like I said, it's very simple to use. Even when I go to a club, it's very easy. When I'm at home, I have one of these interfaces set up behind my turntables. I leave that plugged in at all times. And when I switch the switch upwards, I can play regular records. And when I have the transform switch down, I can play my Serato records. So if you're getting into DJing, it's definitely worth considering jumping on a Serato Scratch, because what it means is you can put all your favorite music that you may already have on CD onto your laptop, and you can straight away be cutting up all your favorite jams. It's really easy to use. It's changed, it's revolutionized DJing. All the greats worldwide are using this. It's phenomenal. So we've talked about how to set up your DJ setup and why DJs do the things they do. Your home/studio setup is going to be the one that you're most comfortable on. It's going to be where you record and do all your best stuff at. But when you go out to DJ at a party or at a club, the setup could be a bit different. And there's no need to get nervous. Keep your wits about you, you'll be straight. The important things to remember are, when you go to the club, check out the DJ mixer, find out where the faders are and what the faders control. A lot of club mixers may have 4 or 6 channels. It may run a CD turntable, a turntable, other turntable, CD turntable. It may run the television sound. It could be all kinds of things. Another important thing to remember when you're at a club, where it's different from your home studio setup, is you might be in a big club where the speakers are facing away from you to the audience. So what that means is the club will then have what's called a monitor speaker, which will allow you to hear what's going out to the people. Usually you'll find a monitor or booth control knob on the DJ mixer which allows you to control the volume of that speaker. Always look for that when you're at a club. It's going to make mixing a whole lot easier. The most important thing about being a good DJ is being able to beat mix. And what that means is matching the beats from one song to the beats of another song, so you can seamlessly blend from one to the other. So when you've got a whole dance floor of people dancing, they don't turn around and look at you and give you that look of like, what's that guy on about? Beat mixing is the trick. How do we do beat mixing? I'll show you. The best way to learn how to beat mix is to get 2 copies of the same song and go from one into the other. The reason why that's easy is because the tempo is already matched for you. Once you're comfortable doing that, you can experiment with different records, and using the pitch control on the turntable, you can make the song speed up or slow down, like this. You can speed it up, or you can slow it down. So matching the beats and using the pitch control that's going to get you where you need to go as far as beat mixing goes. Now, like I said, the best way to start off is to get 2 copies of the same record and mix one into the other. So I'm going to show you how to not do it so it sounds bad, and then I'm going to show you how to do it properly. So you know things aren't right when it sounds sort of like this. As you can hear now, the beats are kind of everywhere. It sounds like trains gliding. The trick is, grab the first beat of the song you're playing and mix it on time. You can use your finger to push it into the right place, and then you'll hear it. Because we've got 2 copies of the same record, you'll hear the sounds a bit electronic-y. It's called phasing. It's because they're both playing exactly in time. You know you've got it straight. So that's beat mixing. Playing one song over the next and seamlessly fading in and out of the records. Like I said, get 2 copies of the same song. It'll be the easiest way to start. Once you're feeling more confident and comfortable, get 2 different records and experiment. Use the pitch control to adjust the pitch of the record to make it faster or slower so they mix together, and you'll be on your way to beat mixing. Everyone's favourite topic when it comes to hip-hop DJs is scratching, and it's good to know your history. Scratching was invented in 1975 by a legend who goes by the name of Grand Wizard Theodore. If it wasn't for that man, we wouldn't all be here today. And the way he invented scratching was he was breakbeating in his bedroom, and his mother came in to tell him something. Because he didn't want to lose his part on the record, he held the record. And while she was talking to him, his hand was slowly moving backwards and forwards. Then he thought to himself, hey, I've made a new sound here. So he started experimenting. Before you knew it, he'd invented scratching. So we're all here today courtesy of Grand Wizard Theodore. Good to know your history. When it comes to scratching, the first thing you need to know is what's called the baby scratch. It's just a very basic backwards and forwards motion with your hand, and if you do that in time with the record, that's a baby scratch. When you're DJing with vinyl and or CD turntables, baby scratching will eventually come naturally as you're holding the first part of the record. So what is a baby scratch? Just a very simple back and forward motion. Just like that. That's all it is. It's a good thing to practice. Get comfortable holding the vinyl. Before you know it, you'll be able to do it over some music. Backwards and forwards. Hold your hands lightly and off you go. Like we said before, you can use the faders to control the sound. When you get more comfortable, you can use the faders to cut the sound on and off. That's the baby scratch. Once you come to baby scratches, that's the foundation to which you can build your whole library of scratches on top of. We could be here all day, and it's a whole other DVD talking about scratching in detail. But on a basic level, once you progress from the baby scratch, another scratch that's very popular amongst DJs is called a chirp. And that's really just a baby scratch, but you're using the crossfader to cut the sound on and off. Then to make it more exciting, you might do a double time. That's a chirp scratch. It was invented by DJ Jazzy Jeff, made popular by DJ Cash Money and DJ Jazzy Jeff. This is how it sounds. That's the chirp scratch. You may remember a cartoon called The Transformers. That's what inspired DJ Cash Money to invent the Transformer scratch. The way the Transformer scratch works is you're using either the crossfader or the up and down fader to cut the sound on and off. Sort of like. That's how the Transformer scratch goes. It sounds kind of like when the robots change from the car to the robot and whatnot from the Transformer cartoons. Courtesy of DJ Cash Money, the inventor of the Transformer scratch. Here's how it sounds over music. So some of the basics of your baby scratch, your chirps and your transformers. Once you're comfortable with that, it opens you to a whole different world of scratching. You've got things like flare scratches, which starts with the fader open and whatnot. There's so many different scratches out there, and it becomes very technical, very exciting, even a bit geeky at times, but scratching is a really fun thing to do. Sky's the limits, there's no right or wrong. The only one rule is, it has to be funky. Once you're comfortable with your scratching and your beat mixing, and you really want to go out there and experiment a bit more, the next thing you want to check out is beat juggling. What beat juggling is manipulating the beats to create a whole different new beat. Some of the most famous beat jugglers are people like Grandmaster Rock Raider and the Executioners, DJ Boogie Blind. Do your research, check online, find out about these guys. Check out a lot of Australia's battle DJs, you'll see everyone beat juggling. When you're beat juggling, you're basically using the different parts of the record and manipulating it to create something funky that you like. So you can use the kick drum, the snare, and just go through that, basically mucking around and coming up with a bit of a musical masterpiece of your own. There's no right or wrong in beat juggling, there's no right or wrong in scratching, but you want it to sound funky, and with beat juggling you want it to sound on beat. Sometimes the DJs will cut the records back and forwards and make one beat sound like another beat. Or they may use two copies of the same song to create something new, or they may use two different records, cut them backwards and forwards and come up with something new as well. Beat juggling is a lot of fun, and it's basically an extension of break beating, which is looping up a certain part of the record, which is as easy as notice how I'm using the queuing system to find the spot I want. When it comes to scratching, mixing, beat juggling, a lot of DJs like to mark their records. The reason we like to mark our records is because when you're going really fast, you can use the markers as a visual guide rather than using your headphones. And in the DMC and various DJ competitions, you'll often see the DJ take the headphones off or not use them at all and just use the markers. How do you mark your records? It's very simple. It's as easy as getting a couple of stickers, and what you do is you put the marker at a place that suits you on that particular record. And what that allows you to do is, by using the marker, knowing where the beat starts, it allows you to cut the record back and forwards without having your headphones on. So having your records marked, it's a really cool thing. It's impressive too. People love it when they see you take your headphones off and do your thing. I hope you've enjoyed this segment of the DVD. We're here to explain a few of the things that you see that person behind the wheels is still doing. Queuing the records, beat mixing the records, scratching, your baby scratches, your chirps, transformers, goes on and on. Break beating, beat juggling, it's all there. Anyone can do it, you just have to put the time in. Enjoy it. Enjoy hip hop music and culture. I'll see you around.